r/AskReddit, what do you think is something completely normalized in society that shouldn't be? The current US educational system. Racism. In some regions racism is still the norm. When a situation is happening, people taking out their phones and recording instead of helping. Mass surveillance. Seriously. If you'd asked people 25 years ago whether they'd like to carry an always-on microphone, camera and GPS tracker that knows everything about them and relays information back to corporations' governments daily, they'd think you were very weird. Fast forward to 2020, and it's considered weird if you don't carry one. Very strange, and I wish it wasn't so. Transgenderism. Cue the hate. I don't hate trans people, I just feel it should be treated as an illness like anorexia or something, not encouraged and normalized. Shitting on a toilet bowl. Homophobia. There's still some people who think that being phobic is 100% legit because they consider it freedom of speech. Someone should tell them that your own freedom ends where other people's freedom begins. The normalization of unhealthy habits in students. Always hear college kids staying up 3 days in a row and skipping meals and no one bats an eye. Rampant casualness. I'm not a prude, or religious or old-fashioned. I just think people should try to find happiness in themselves and in meaningful relationships, romantic or not, instead of wasting months or years of their lives on empty and shallow physical gratification. Glamorizing stupidity, reality TV. And people pretending to be stupid because they think it's funny. Anxiety. Many of us have it, but there is a point where professional help should be sought if possible. There's also people who probably don't have clinical anxiety misdiagnosing themselves and blaming poor behavior on it. Corporations having freedom to do whatever they want for profit. Consumerism. Advertising blitz. Media companies admittedly telling lies. Using logically fallacious arguments. Seriously, here's Wikipedia's list of logical fallacies. You can read through it in a few minutes. These are arguments that are universally agreed upon as incorrect, and yet they get used all the time. In the news, from politicians. And it's just considered normal that people who are supposed to be authorities are using arguments that are clearly incorrect, and can easily be shown to be so. School lunch in the USA. It's a travesty. Spitting around people is pretty gross. Casual jokes about alcoholism like saying there's alcohol in your drink at work, etc. It feels weird to me that I can walk down the street and a black person says "What up, cracker?" I don't need you and your white ass. I mean, I'm not going to call them out and I'm going to laugh because it's weird to immediately make note of someone's race when I see them. As a white guy I would be demonized for saying to nation "What up, zipperhead?" I don't need you and your yellow skin. You're not an asshole because you haven't had your coffee yet, you're just an asshole. Arrogance. Everyone is always being told to be confident for the sake of it without possessing any actual skills to support that confidence. Since as long as you speak confidently then the ignorant masses will just eat up the words of whoever is the loudest. But I think such a thing is incredibly dangerous since this idea is putting a lot of incapable people into positions of power. Especially now that loud people can reach more people than ever before with stuff like the internet. There's just not enough appreciation for education and skill. Even though I'm fine with Greta Thunberg's intentions, I don't think that's what made her so popular. It's because she was a young girl who tried very hard and was very loud. We're just fortunate that she happened to have positive intentions, but it's only luck that she didn't. All manner of social justice warriorism. The only real result they are having is undermining democratic electoral efforts. People working multiple jobs, and society holding that as a badge of honor. It's the sign of a broken society when someone has to spend all of their time working, and not enjoying life. Many people don't have hobbies or interests, not because they don't want to, they just don't have time. When I was younger I had 2 jobs, and when I had free time I was too exhausted to do anything other than sleep. I would then dream about work, and being at work and having something terrible happen. The only thing I would do when I had a day off was go out, get blackout drunk, and then do it all over again. Public S. People are way too normalized with it these days. It's gotten to the point where when I do it in a public playground or on top of a public playground, it no longer gives me a thrill. People don't even look twice. What's the fun in that? Men being the sole responsibility of violent crimes and rape, and do not deserve their rights to a child who is theirs. Taking a nuanced case, making a TV show about it from one perspective, watching said series on Netflix, and believing the narrative the show offered as scripture. Sexualizing prepubescent children by putting them in makeup and skimpy outfits for glamour photo shoots. Tipping. It's not really a thing in other countries and can be seen as an insult in some. At least we're starting to see more and more restaurants in the States switch. Jokes about male rape. I think residency programs are way too hard on doctors. Why is working crazy shifts for little pay a qualification for being a great doctor? Alcoholism is okay as long as it's wine. See mass-produced shirts, wood blocks, memes etc. In the US, the 24HR news complex and entertainment masquerading as breaking news. This breaks each way politically left, right and center. Pick your favorite, for simplicity MSNBC, Fox, and CNN, and watch for 1 hour. It is not possible to leave the experience feeling like a more informed citizen instead of mind-numbed. It's the same filler stories, regurgitated images, superficial opinions layered on top of issues deserving far more aces that they receive. It is striking that the plot of Anchorman 2 describes the state of news in this country. Billionaires. No one needs or deserves that much money. The disregard of science and to counteract facts based on religion, politics and emotions. The normalized behavior that breaking rules is cool, it's not cool. And then the behavior continues into adulthood and people get hurt. Romanticizing mental illness, making mental illness a endless joke or meme. Billionaires exploit the S out of people and pay off politicians to get away with it. It's basically above board at this point, but people have thus far just kind of accepted that. Not only do those billionaires get to do that, but they deserve it so hard that we should let people die in order to preserve billionaires' fortunes. Corruption. Not just politicians, but your everyday regular Joe can be corrupt as well. We all know stories of people who bribed cops, grifters, or just some moment in which we got more change than we should and decided to keep it. Pornography. It's addicting, an industry built around lies, use, and abuse. Some companies look out for their employees but many don't, and it can be harmful for relationships if certain expectations are made because of it. Poverty. Like JFC. Can we pay people a livable wage or try UB, or do something besides gloat over the tax scamming super rich? I've seen so many posts on Instagram and Twitter about people leading on other people cause they're bored. The worst part is people I know in real life do this. Debt. Especially student debt. Pay for education to get job with said education, spend next 20 years using that job to pay for said education. It is a broken system. Bachelor parties with strippers. So disrespectful to the bride. Treating mental diseases by surgery and hormones instead of psychotherapy. Cops getting off scot-free when people die due to their incompetence. Take that man who was arrested for firing on police officers who were in plain clothes and didn't knock before aiding his home. His fucking girlfriend was shot and killed by the officers, and the kicker, it was the wrong felling house. The guy who they thought they were raiding had been arrested hours prior to the raid. Such utter incompetence on so many levels. Consuming drugs and alcohol like candy and water and then bragging about it. Or worse, defending yourself maniacally about it. There really is no good reason people do these things at all. And there is really no defense for it. That said, I'm not a judgy a-hole. If you want to drink a few beers, smoke a bowl, pop some D's, whatever, that's your prerogative. But just because I think it's strange and don't do it myself doesn't mean I'm attacking you over it. Exchanging gifts on special occasions. Why normalize something that just stresses everybody out and makes people uncomfortable? Drinking coffee absolutely is a drug that we encourage everyone to partake in. Very odd, but super normal. Porn. It's a blatant disrespect and hate speech against women. It's addictive, causes many problems, physical, emotional, mental, creates unrealistic expectations and is unhealthy. If you remove the S part, all you get is male sitting, slapping and insulting women. You basically condition yourself, and O is the most powerful reward. I feel like this opinion will sound radical and extreme to many people here, and that's why I think it's the perfect response to the OP question. It's so normalized and it shouldn't be at all. Advertising. It's incredibly overt mind control. Intense marketing focused on children. I mean, F advertisers and everybody in that industry in general, but especially these people that focus on marketing to kids. They are essentially creating little addicts. Shit like those 2-hour YouTube videos of kids playing with toys should not be legal. It's an entire industry dedicated to weaponizing child psychology in order to sell bits of plastic. There's a doc called Consuming Kids if you want to F up the rest of your day. Buying stuff you don't need. Seriously. Stop buying. Just stop it. Use this pandemic as an example of how much you really need and don't need in life. Save every penny you can and retire early. People complain about the big evil corporations all the time. Well, stop fueling the fire. You don't need the new iWatch, or that new bag, or new clothes, or even nice furniture. Just buy food, necessities and shelter and beer and stop fucking buying everything else. The notion that high school is the best years of your life. I was a loner with Asperger's and a dysfunctional family and it was hard to grapple with not having the Hollywood high school experience. Really looking back, lots of kids were a-holes or extremely immature, most relationships ended in bad breakups or cheating, the bathroom situation was atrocious and many of my former classmates who did have better social success remark that everyone there sucks. Don't judge friendships off of high school as everyone is immature, etc. What makes it worst aside from S like HSM, are the parents and adults who repeat this, who were likely the star player who could have gone pro but found their popularity couldn't get them far. My estranged father is a prime example. How some jobs expect you to arrive early or leave late. Politicians, news programs and advertisers all lie with impunity. This should not be normal. Cricket politicians. People tend to vote, except for hardliners, for the ones they think will do the least damage. Would be nice if unhealthy food temptations weren't pushed in our faces so much, huge portions at restaurants, added sugar in everything, etc. In Western North American society, the fact that we don't include tax on prices. When I went to the UK, I realized that they had put the tax included onto the price of items, so when you go up to purchase, the price is exactly what it is on the shelf. In North America, they show you the before price and the tax is added afterwards, so it gives off the illusion that it's cheaper than it really is. It really should be illegal. It's false advertising. Walking by homeless people sleeping on the street. Disregarding scientific facts. It's way too common for people to think they know more than actual scientists who've been studying a topic for years just because they saw something on the internet from some douche nozzle. People are literally dying because of this. That is vaccines. Cognitive bias is a dangerous drug. People that eat with their mouth open, money in politics, lobbyists, overpopulation, unethical taxation of people but not large corporations, fracking, Dakota pipeline, big pharmaceuticals having treatment $sign but not cures. In America, where I live, it seems we are all wage slaves. The overbearing consumerism, the need to work is just, what is the word? Silly? Stupid? There is so much more to life than work. Offensive jokes. I'm no snowflake, but can you people stop with the racist and Catholic priest-rapist jokes? You're no comedian when you do that. The expectation that a boy should not harm a girl, no matter what she may have done to him. I've seen friends get completely humiliated by girls in front of large groups of people and they've had to just back down and accept horrific abuse. For example, me and my friend were getting off the school bus when a girl approached from behind with 4 of her friends and proceeded to douse him with juice. He was literally soaking and just had to accept it. They started laughing and shaming him and even going up to him and rubbing his hair condescendingly, and he could do nothing. It really sucks. Santa. Lie to your kids for a large chunk of their childhood, but expect them to trust you later. Encourage actual belief in imaginary things, not pretending or imagination, but expect them to be rational thinkers. Give an imaginary weird house intruder credit for ask the time, thought, and money you put into your kids' gifts, and expect them to develop a sense of appreciation for generosity. And then, when they finally figure it out, make them lie to all their friends. I just don't get it. Hold your breath everyone, we're sorting by controversial.